Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Simi Kemza James. So you're all welcome to today's tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely wrap collared top that has sort of a bodysuit attachment or an underpant attachment to it to help you maintain a very clean look when you tuck into your pants. So I'll be using 1.5 yard of silk. So let's just get into it.
So guys, I'm going to be using a basic bodice pattern. It does not have that, so it's just the length of my blouse minus, let's say, 2 inches away from the length of your blouse. So normally the length of my blouse would be around 25 inches, but I'm using 23. Now when I'm done sewing, it's going to be 22.5 because I'm going to use sewing allowance from here. So this is just my regular back neckline, so I'm going to be modifying this pattern to work for me. If you don't know how to draft a basic bodice pattern, there's going to be a link working up, so you just go ahead and watch that video before this one. So this neckline is by 3 inches, so I want to make it 4 inches instead of 3, so I'll just add 1 inch to it like so, and the depth I'm working with is 1 inch, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it that way. So I'll just go ahead and connect that. Let me just do that by free hands, guys. So this is the first thing that I'll do. Now I'm going to use this to cut out my back pattern. So for this pattern, what I did is I just squared out the waistline. So this is my bust line, my affluence line, and the length of my blouse. So my hip is 48 inches, so I just squared it by the hip because it's not sort of a shapy top. Then I added half of an inch of ease on this side. That's where this half inch that you're seeing here is coming from, and the waistline is not sort of going in before coming out because I just squared it because I want it to be a little bit free. It's not going to be like really free top, but just a little bit. So I'm just going to cut out that neckline like so. Then I'm going to be cutting out my back panel using this. Then I'll come back to modify the panel to fit a wrap top in the front side. Really beautiful silk material. As you can see, it's so gorgeous and it's silk, so it stretches just a little bit on this side. So I'm going to be using the stretchy side. It stretches on one of the selvage, so I'll be using that stretchy side for my horizontal measurement. So I'll just go ahead and fold like so nicely. Then I'll lay my pattern on it and I'll cut it out. So now that we have our back cut out, so on this middle line, which is this crease line here, I'm going to place my tape so I can mark my front neck depth. So you remember our back neck depth was 1 inch, so I'll just place my tape on that point with 1 inch. Then I'll go down to the depth that I desire, which I want to work with 7 inches. So I'll just mark 7 inches like so. And then because it's a wrap top, I'll now come to the hem here and decide how I want it to be wrapped. If you don't want it to go into each other that much, then you can just mark whatever from the midpoint. You just mark whatever number you want, but I want it like so that it can give me sort of like a full coverage, because I don't want a lot of my cleavage is showing. So from this my cleavage, sorry, so from this line here, from this point, which is the side seam of the front, which is going to be one of my front, I'll just go in by 1 inch like so, and or 2 inches. So I'll just go in by 2 inches instead. So that's what I marked here. So I'm going to connect the 2 inch point to this line here. So I'm going to be using my pattern master or any ruler that you have. You can go ahead and work with that like so. Then I'll connect here to this side where the neckline starts from. So don't forget that that's the same place the back neckline begins from as well. Now I'm going to be adding a little bit of that to this so that it sort of covers me up a little bit on the neck side point. So from this point, I'm going to be taking, or anywhere on the line, you just go ahead and take maybe 1 inch or 2 inches of that. So I might just end up doing 2 inches because I want it to be nice and properly covered. So I'll mark 2 inches like so. So I'm going to find my bust point. So I'll mark from this line here to where my bust point will be on a normal day, and from the center point there I'll mark half of my bust span. So this is where my bust point is. So I'm going to connect that place just to form a dart around there, like so and like so, right? So when I do that, I'm going to cut my pattern out. So this side that I have here, I'm going to cut 2 of it, then so it will just be like one will be the opposite of the other to give us the wrap effect. So I'm just going to cut this out. So before the dart, I'll cut excess out so that when I'm done closing my dart, because I'm going to eventually close that dart, so that when I'm done closing my dart, I won't need to add any paper around there, right? So now I'm going to be making an opening somewhere here on this side, like so. So from the midpoint, I'll mark my bust span as well. Now I want to transfer this dart to this line here, so I'll mark my bust span. Now I'll connect here to this bust point here. Now if you don't mind having this side being so exposed or open, then you can omit all this dart and this one that I'm going to do. So I'll just open here like so, and I'll open here as well. Then I'm going to be closing this dart like this. I'll close this dart off. Now I've transferred this dart from here to this waist side, right? So I'll be taping it down so that I can cut out this excess that I left here. So by the time I tape it down like so and the dart has been transferred to this point, I'm going to just make this place like a final line here so that I can cut out the excess. So I'm just going ahead to cut out this excess that we have, and by so doing our neckline will sit a little bit more proper. So when I'm done with the dress, I'll show you what this is going to be adding to our pattern. So this is what I have of our pattern now. So I'm going to be laying my fabric out and cutting this, but I'm not going to be cutting this that open because I'm just going to be pleating the dart point. So I'll cut 2 of these patterns. So let me bring my fabric. So I'm going to be cutting out the fabric, but let me start from here. When I get to that dart point, I'll make a notch there so that I know how wide my dart is. I'll just make a notch here and here. That will enable me to know how wide my dart is. Then I'll cut out the remaining body. So now here is my back pattern, and I want to draft a collar pattern on a fresh pattern paper. So I'll have to measure my neckline on the back. Now I do not want a collar stand, I just want a regular collar without a collar stand, because I just want to give a little bit of a shirt vibe. So for my back collar, I have 9.5 inches round. So I'll come to my front and find where I want my collar to start from or to fall from, right? So I'll just mark like 4 inches on the front line, or 4 inches is fine, or 3 inches. So I have 3 inches plus my 9.5 here. I have a total of 12.5 inches. So that's how long the collar is going to be. No, so plus this on the front side is 3 inches plus another 3 inches, which is 6 inches, because it's going to be on 2 sides. So 6 inches plus 9.5, we have a total of 15.5. So I'm going to be drafting my collar to be 15.5. Now I'll find half of 15.5, which is going to be 7.25. I'll just round it up to 7.75. So I'll just round it up to 8. So I'm going to mark 8 inches like so. That's for half of the collar, because I want to just draft these and I'll transfer it to fabric when I'm ready. So I just made a straight line and I'll mark 8 inches on the line like so. And I'm going to go ahead and reshape my collar now. So if I were to do a collar stand, the collar stand is going to have like a U shape. So because I'm not marking a collar stand, here's our 8 inches. So I'm going to, and normally our collar is supposed to, the shape of our collar is supposed to be opposite that of the collar stand. So from this middle side where it's going to be unfold, I'll come up. You remember our neckline was 1 inch. At the back, the neck depth was 1 inch. So I'll add ½ inch and make it 1.5 inches. I'll mark it upwards. So I'm going to connect that 1.5 inches to this point here. Like so to the, that's to the 8-inch point. I'll just go ahead and connect like so. So when I have that, I'm going to come up by the height, how wide I want my collar to be. So I'll make it 3 inches or 3.5, right? So I'll make 3.5 like so. So I'll now determine the shape of my collar. So let's assume I want it something, I want it to fall. So from here, which is going to be the tip of the collar, I'll just drop this, depending on how you want your collar to be. I'll drop this by 3 inches around here like so. Then I'll just do this when if I'm uncomfortable with the shape of the collar, I'll reshape it. So I'll connect it to the 8-inch point. Then I'm going to connect, sorry guys, I don't like that shape, so I'll just go this way. I'll just, from here, I'll slant around a 45-degree angle and mark 3 inches or 3.5, whatever you want. So I'll connect it to this 3.5 like so, and I'll connect it back like so. You can always reshape this, right? So I'll connect it back like so. I might want to change the shape of this collar and use my French curve like so. So whatever works for you. So this is going to be our collar. Now I'll measure here to double check if it's 8 inches, because it might not be. I don't have a problem with it going down a little bit more. So I have around 8.25, which I'm fine with. So I'm just going to go ahead and add like 1/4 inch sewing allowance round my panel. So that will be the sewing allowance that I'm going to be using. I'll just cut out my collar. So I'll be cutting out 2 of these. So when it sits on my neck, it's going to be something like this. So it will curve to the front side like so. So I'll be cutting out two of these, but this side is going to be unfold like so. So let me go ahead and cut it out.
So these are all my panels after I cut. I just went ahead to cut out my pants panel. So you can see I have a tutorial on these on the channel. So I'm going to be linking it up here for you to see. So I just went ahead to go over to my serger, and I overlocked all my raw edges, everything. And I went ahead to also prep my collar as well. So everywhere that needs to be overlocked, I overlocked it. Then I sewed my collar, the top side and the both sides. Then I went ahead to sew my blouse by joining first the back shoulder to the front shoulder, matching each other. So I matched right side facing right side first. Then I fixed my sleeve from the midpoint to the armhole of the sleeve, and I flipped it to the other side, and I sewed the sleeve as well. So when I was done, I went ahead to hem the sleeve, both the right and the left sleeve. And after I was done, I went ahead to sort of try out the to close the dress, starting from the sleeve side to the hem of the dress. So by the time I was done closing the both sides of the dress, I just threw it on a mannequin for you to see what it looks like now. So at this point, it has this kimono or jacket kind of a look, which is also another good way to rock it. Or you can also go ahead and sort of use it like a tie front dress. So that's what I'm doing now for you to see. I just went ahead to tie it up. So if you want to make it some sort of a little bit like, I don't want to say the word, guys, but if you want it to look this cute, you can also do that. And then you can use it as the regular side, which is the one I intended, which is a wrap dress. So this is it as a wrap dress. So either ways, it will be cute. So this is it. So I'm going to take it back to my sewing machine and go ahead and add my darts. Then I'll prep my facings. So for the facing, I match my shoulder side of my facing, the front side, and sewed it together to the back side. Then I'll open press, and you remember that place where I left my dart. I went ahead to put my dart on the front side where I moved that dart from the neck. So that's what I'm doing. Then I'm going to sew my collar to the from the midpoint of the collar. I matched it to the midpoint of the center back. Then I went ahead to sew the wrong side of the collar on the right side of the shirt. So I can't necessarily say wrong side of the collar because both sides are right side. So then I went ahead to add my facing from the neck, from the collar to the hem of the dress. That's the front side, which is also, which doubles as the neckline of the dress. So when I was done, I just made notches so that I can top stitch easily and it will lie nicely. So I just made notches, and when I was done, I top stitched real on with all my sewing allowances pushed to the facing side, and I just did it very close to that seam so that it looks nice and clean. So after you're done, you go ahead and give it a good press. If you want to hand tag, you can go ahead and do that, or use hemming gum. So I went ahead to use hemming gum to iron it, and this is what it looks like now before I fixed the pant side, which will help my blouse when I tuck in. So it's so beautiful, guys. So I'm just going to sew this down like this, measuring 1 inch inwards, and then I'll sew it down. Then I attach the pants using my overlocker. You can just go ahead and use your regular sewing machine. So by the time I do this and I attach the lower side of the top or the pant side of the top, I'll just go ahead and give it a nice press, and that will be it. So if you don't know how to draft that pant pattern, I'm going to be linking a video where I taught on how to draft the pant pattern, right? So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I have a new video up on the channel. And please, guys, subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. It will go a long way to help me. And please like